Good afternoon, everyone. It's August 24th, 2014. Welcome to Pottstown Butterflies. My name is Ron Ryle. I live at 344 West Beach Street with my wife Carol and our cat Sneakies. For the past 21 years, we have maintained one of the oldest urban butterfly habitats in the United States in our backyard. Again, the name of our documentary is Pottstown Butterflies. Carol and I are dedicating our documentary to Dennis Wasnock, our former city councilman, who recently passed away. Dennis was a strong supporter of our butterfly garden open houses and helped us solve the garbage problem at Pottstown Center. Butterfly populations have decreased by 40% in Pennsylvania over the past several years due to habitat destruction, according to most butterfly experts. I wanted to start our film at Upland Square Shopping Center to describe some of the habitat destruction in the Pottstown area. We are 2 miles from the butterfly garden habitat. We prefer to call it a habitat, but most people call them butterfly gardens. We'll be there in a few minutes, but before we get there, we're going to drive and show you some of the things that have happened over the last several years. Right now we're at Upland Square Shopping Center, and this is at least a 20-acre parking lot with buildings, and butterflies need plants. Their life depends on nectar plants for them to feed on, also host plants for the caterpillars to eat after the butterfly lays its eggs. Each butterfly has a host plant it depends on for its life cycle. For instance, the monarch depends on the milkweed for its life. No milkweed, no monarchs. So in our area, we have many shopping malls. There's one across the street, an old shopping mall where the TSC is located. On the left, we have a new bank going in, a credit union, and that used to be a great area to see cabbage white butterflies and the yellow sulfurs. So we'll no longer be able to see them. Okay, we're turning right, going down Route 100 south. We're headed to our destination. All along here on the right and the left, there used to be a lot of milkweed. As you can see, now we have grass and other weeds, and they even sprayed along here this year. So the milkweed for the monarch butterfly is disappearing and putting the monarch butterfly's life in jeopardy. Monarch populations are 90% down for the year 2014. This used to be all milkweed on the left-hand side and on the right-hand side. There is a small patch down here. We're approaching it very soon here. There's still just a teensy bit of milkweed left here as soon as we get there. Right about there some on the right-hand side. So that's about all the milkweed we have along here anymore, so it's pretty tough on the monarchs. We have another shopping mall down here. This one is Pottstown Center, and it has destroyed a lot of butterfly habitats as well. It's approximately a 20-acre facility. Now, we've just entered the borough of Pottstown. Pottstown was founded by John Potts in 1752, and John Potts was an iron master. At the time, Pottstown was named Potts Grove, and it was called Potts Grove until 1815, when the name was changed to Pottstown. John Potts, right here in this area where we're sitting, had a 995-acre plantation. He purchased it from William Penn, and he had 10 slaves and several indentured servants. And in 1760, he laid out the borough of Pottstown, and when he did that, he tried to copy Philadelphia. We are headed to the Pottsgrove Manor development. That's where I live, which is named after Potts Grove, which used to be Pottstown. So we'll be there as soon as this light changes. We're at Shoemaker Road. And this used to be all open land here where the Friendlies is. There were a lot of cabbage butterflies, a lot of sulfurs. No longer see them. So we have a lot of roads. Even the roads destroy habitats. The plants that butterflies lay their eggs on aren't around. They're called the host plants, and there's no nectar to feed on. So we have habitat destruction everywhere we look. Another nice parking lot on the left-hand side where there used to be a lot of milkweed growing, and this year they sprayed it, and that milkweed no longer is there. We're now turning right on King Street, and we're pretty close to our destination, which is the Pottsgrove Manor housing development. Pottsgrove Manor itself is just to our left, about a quarter of a mile down the road, and that's where the John's Pot, the Pottsgrove Manor mansion, is located. We're turning into the Pottsgrove Manor development now, and we'll be at our destination in a couple minutes. We have nice wide streets here.
Did you start your butterfly habitat when you first moved into this neighborhood, or?
Actually, we moved here in 1993. We started our butterfly habitat in 1994. And I forgot to introduce Butterfly Pua, who just asked that question.
Hello.
Butterfly Pua Schmidt is my neighbor. And Butterfly Gus is our cameraman today, and his daughter, Butterfly Carly, is along with us too on our butterfly excursion. We're on West Beach Street now, so we'll be there soon. 344 West Beach. And how many butterflies have you guys seen so far?
I've had 6 monarch sightings this year.
Well, how many have you seen on our trip, though, that we just made here?
Oh, none.
Yeah, I did not see one butterfly as we drive up here. I haven't seen any. Now, the weather today, it's a little cold for butterflies. They like it about 85 degrees, and it's a little bit cloudy. Butterflies need sunshine to fly. They're cold-blooded. And so it's a little chilly today, and after the rain we had yesterday, some of the butterflies are still sleeping, actually. The big butterflies sleep up in the trees. The small butterflies sleep down in the weeds and sometimes on the flowers themselves. We have arrived. Okay, we have reached our destination. We're at 344 West Beach, and we haven't seen any butterflies yet, but let's take a look at the milkweed. We have a backup supply of milkweed in the front yard. This is for the monarch butterfly. This is called butterfly weed, Asclepias tuberosa. It's an orange milkweed. It grows wild in southeastern Pennsylvania. It is a native. So we have all 3 of the milkweeds. They're all natives. Swamp milkweed. This is the swamp milkweed here. And then the common milkweed is this one with the big pods. This is common milkweed here. The monarch butterfly has to have this plant to maintain its life. No milkweed, no monarchs. Hey, there's a cabbage butterfly. First one we've seen. We finally saw a butterfly. Let's head out back to the butterfly habitat. Okay. Right here we have the spicebush tree. This is the host plant for the spicebush swallowtail. This is about as big as a tree gets. It could go as high as 12 feet. They grow along the edge of the woods. It's a native plant, and it smells real spicy. This year we harvested 15 caterpillars off of this tree, and I was able to raise those butterflies. And all but 2 became butterflies. 2 of them were attacked by a parasitic wasp, and I had 2 wasps born. Instead of all butterflies, I had 2 wasps, and the rest were spicebush swallowtail butterflies. So this is a tremendous tree. If you go along the edge of the woods, though, looking for caterpillars, and you see all these trees, you're going to have a hard time finding one. But if you have nectar like we have here, along with the tree, you can have 1 tree, you'll still get the caterpillars. So it's pretty easy.
About how old is this tree, Ron?
This tree here is about 15 years old.
Okay.
So it's been here almost, not quite as long as the habitat itself. And I believe I got it at French Creek State Park, I think. Next, we're going to discuss the plants that butterflies feed on. Butterflies drink nectar with their proboscis. They have a straw that they curl down into the plants and right into the cup of the flower. Hopefully we might get to see that a little later on. Before we get totally into that, I want to cover today's weather, because the weather is the most important thing here. First of all, you need a southern exposure or a southwest exposure. When we moved in here back in 1993, we didn't know we'd be doing this, but south is right here. So you need full sun for butterflies. No sunshine, no butterflies. Every time I go out to give a talk, I always say that. I start my talk, it's all about sunshine. I end the talk, it's all about sunshine. I don't care how many flowers you have, you're not going to see a thing. It's a little bit cool today. I just checked the temperature, it's 82. The ideal temperature for butterflies in full sun is 85 degrees. They're cold-blooded, so they need it to warm up to be able to fly. A butterfly can fly at approximately 70 degrees. Monarchs can fly at 65 degrees, sometimes a little lower. It depends there, but almost all the other butterflies need nice warm temperatures. This is the #1 attractor, Verbena bonariensis. It's from South America. This little skinny plant attracts 80% of the butterflies we see here. This year we've had 28 species. We're 25% down. We've been averaging the last 2 years 38 species, which is very good for an urban habitat. It's hard to attract butterflies in the city. Very, very difficult. So right now all we have on here is bees, so hopefully it'll pick up here later as we go.
Well, now, Ron, where do the butterflies go when the sun's down?
When the sun's down, and it was quite a bit today, the big butterflies go up in the trees. The monarch will go up into a tree and rest up there. One slept out front 2 nights ago in the pine tree out front in the Norway spruce. The small butterflies will rest down in the weeds or in the flowers themselves. Like those little white ones you see flying around. One actually slept out here in the Verbena bonariensis last night after the rain. There is a silver-spotted skipper in the back there. It has the state of Texas on the side, on the Verbena bonariensis. He's brown, orange, and white. I always say that white mark is the state of Texas on the side.
Oh, there he is.
Cabbage butterfly flying by. Again, this is the #1 attractor by far. We're ready for the #2 attractor, which is butterfly bush. Okay, that's the silver-spotted skipper on the Verbena bonariensis. It has orange at the top. It's brown with the white markings. It looks similar to the state of Texas. And the next #2 attractor is butterfly bush, Buddleia. It smells like perfume. Buddleia is from China. So the first 2 plants that I'm talking about are not natives, although we have about 300 native plants on the property. And we'll be getting to them shortly here. So butterfly bush is the best attractor of all the butterfly bushes. There's different colors. There's white, there's summer beauty, that's what that is. Pink delight is the #1 attractor. That's this one here, by far. What they do, they breed these butterfly bushes, and when they do that, there's less and less nectar in them. So some people have gotten the yellow butterfly bush, and it has no nectar, doesn't attract anything. So.
Now, how do you get your butterfly bushes to maintain the flowers all year round? Mine are looking kind of...
Okay, what you do, these butterfly bushes can be cut back anytime. You can cut them back in the summer, spring. I'll be getting ready for the monarch migration, which here the busiest days are September 21st through September 26th. That's the primary time for the monarchs migrating through the backyard here. So we'll cut them back. We might even cut them back between these, at the bottom of these 3 flowers. We cut them back fairly hard. But before we do that, we have to make sure it's going to rain. I don't bother cutting back if it's not going to rain. We can't get any new growth. So one of the main things we do study here is the monarch migration. And during a good migration, we'll have as many as 200 monarchs a day coming through here in the city of Pottstown. We don't have to drive to Cape May to see it. Okay, that's #2. #3 is this tall orange plant over here. Okay, our next plant is Tithonia, which is also called Mexican sunflower. There is a monarch on the Tithonia plant right now. This plant is critical during the monarch migration. 90% of the monarchs are going to land on this. This plant's native to Mexico. They recognize it. So they already know it. Since the monarchs go to Mexico, they know about Mexican sunflower, so they land on it here when they're traveling. And we have this lined up. When we tag the monarchs and we throw them up, they all fly southwest right over here. We have these plants lined up in direct sun. We have all the orange Mexican sunflower in the warmest, hottest area. And as we just saw, the monarch will land on the very top one. That's the warmest one. The one that Butterfly Gus just filmed was way up on the top. And that's critical. Again, it's all about sunshine and heat. Heat, heat, heat. You can't fly without heat. So this is an incredible plant. It is an annual. You have to plant it every year. I did forget to mention Verbena bonariensis and butterfly bush are perennials in our area. Last year, though, we had a cold winter, and I lost 20 butterfly bushes. And I even mentioned that in my book. If it goes below 20 degrees at night, you have a good chance of losing your butterfly bushes. And my goodness, we had 0 weather last year. So many people lost their butterfly bushes, and I had to start over. I'm rebuilding the habitat as we speak. In the back here, that used to be all 6, 7 feet tall, and now you can see it's about 3 feet tall is all. So this habitat has all been redone because of the poor winter. The next 3 attractors are common milkweed, swamp milkweed. Oops, I skipped butterfly weed. Butterfly weed's number 4, common milkweed number 5, swamp milkweed number 6. We already saw those out in the front yard. The butterfly weed, the orange one, is in the wild. You can see almost maybe sometimes 10 to 12 butterflies on one plant. So it's a tremendous attractor as well as providing food for the monarch caterpillars. So now we're going to go to the field thistle. And that's this plant here. This is pretty much done blooming. We're kind of in an unusual situation today, which it's probably a good thing in a sense. Most of the flowers are still blooming, and this is not a normal thing. We've had a lot of cold nights, a lot of cold days in the 70s, and I see a comma butterfly over here with punctuation on the milkweed. I'm sorry, we are going to have to interrupt our thistle talk here for a second. See that line on the side? That's the comma. Has the comma punctuation on the side. Butterfly Gus, you think you can get that? You're on it, huh? All right. So anyway, field thistle, in the wild especially, this is a native. You're not allowed to grow Canada thistle. Canada thistle blooms in June. Now today's August 14th, so this is field thistle. And Butterfly Carly, you want to feel this flower?
Wow.
Soft as a paintbrush.
Yeah.
So, but the plant itself is not. So,
yeah.
the plant's not too healthy. We had a lot of disease this year with the cold nights. It was very difficult to grow plants. This was a tremendously difficult growing season. The next one is number 8. That was number 7. That's State Fair mixed zinnia. It's in the back. The next plant is State Fair mixed zinnia. You have to be careful when you're getting zinnias to attract butterflies. It has to have the yellow center. There's a star in there. That's where the nectar is. So now they're coming out with a lot of zinnia hybrids. They do not attract butterflies at all. So this is State Fair mix. And here's another one here. You can see the yellow in this one a little bit better. So the butterfly sticks its proboscis right down inside that and gets the nectar. This will be a really nice attractor in the next few weeks. We still have 6 weeks to go for butterfly season. As the season goes on, we get closer to that first frost. More butterflies will be landing on the State Fair mixed zinnia, including the monarchs during the migration.
It seems like they tolerate other plants well. You have verbena mixed in with your
Yeah,
zinnias.
this is not a good idea really overall because your plants need air or they'll get sick. But I like to do it and try it. I hate to throw any Verbena bonariensis away because it's the #1 attractor. So you can get away with putting this Verbena bonariensis in with the State Fair mixed zinnia. Here's a milkweed I left out. This is tropical milkweed here. This is another host plant for the monarch, for the caterpillars. This is an annual. This does not come up every year. The other milkweeds are all perennials. They'll come up every year. All right, our next plant is purple coneflower. It's right beside us here. It's done blooming. Purple coneflower normally blooms in June and July. This year, it almost went all the way to August because of the cold weather. We've had an extremely cold summer compared to the other 20 years that I've been here, as a tiger swallowtail zooms by. Mm-hmm. Okay.
It looks like a lot of the native plants finish blooming early. Is that why you have the Mexican ones to carry the nectar through the season?
That's a good point. A lot of the native plants do bloom early. Now that you brought that up, Butterfly Pua, how does this all work for butterfly gardening? Well, in the early part of the year, like in June and May and June, the butterflies are out in the wild on the wildflowers. Then when those flowers become dormant, they come to your backyard to nectar on the plants that we have here. So this is the best time of year because all the plants in the wild now are dying out. So when you drive down the road, you don't see too many flowers. Our next plant is, oh, I forgot. Yeah, we were doing the purple coneflower, also called echinacea. They make cold medicine from this. You can buy it on the shelf at the pharmacy. So this is a nice, nice plant. It's native, and the butterflies recognize it at the beginning of the year. You want to get the butterflies interested at the first part of the year, so they'll hang around and go on the other plants as the season wears on. Butterfly season is July, August, and September if you live in town like I do. If you live in the city, it's July, August, September. Our next plant is another native. The number 11 plant, or the number 10 plant I should say, is late flowering boneset. Normally blooms in September. It's already blooming in August. It has a nice white flower on it. This gets a lot of rare butterflies. This plant I brought in from the Susquehanna River. So it likes sandy and damp soil, but we treat it pretty well here. It's by itself, so it grows just fine in just about any kind of soil. Hair streak butterflies go on it, the real small ones. There are a couple hair streaks in the garden today. I don't know where they're at this moment in time. We'll try to find them a little bit later. Butterfly Gus, could you film that hummingbird moth here on the Verbena bonariensis?
My favorite.
That's the hummingbird moth on the top attracting flower, Verbena bonariensis. You can see it putting its proboscis down into the cup of the flower, getting the nectar. The nectar is like sugar water, so what you're doing here is you're feeding the butterflies.
Ron, is this boneset a native plant as well?
This late flowering boneset is native. I see we have a cabbage butterfly that's just joined us on the Verbena bonariensis. Tiger swallowtail just went by.
Here he comes.
The butterflies become more tame after they've mated. So as the season goes on, the next couple weeks you can walk out here and almost grab them with your hands. They'll be so tame. The mating aspect will be over with. Some butterflies only have one brood, such as the olive hair streak. We usually see it in July. Pua said she saw one today at her house, butterfly
I did.
Pua.
I saw one this morning.
It's kind of a rare butterfly. It lays eggs on red cedar. But the swallowtails will have 3 broods. The monarchs will have, we think, 3 to 4 generations. We're not real sure on that. This is the number 11 plant. This is called mountainminte. It's the Mutica version. It's the number 1 plant for honeybees. And I don't see any out here today, unfortunately. The plant's almost done blooming. It has a very small flower. It's a real small white flower on there. And it's just about going to seed. I've never really had it blooming in August. This is the first time due to the cold weather again. So it's still blooming a little bit. Butterfly Carly. Smell this one. It's an incredible plant. That would make some good honey, wouldn't it? Wow. Woo! Good stuff. Now we're going to cover some of the plants that are more toward the bottom of the list at attracting butterflies, but still do a pretty good job. And the first one is anise hyssop. Anise hyssop, it smells like anise. You can make tea from it, like licorice. Butterfly Carly, what do you think?
It smells good.
Good stuff, makes great tea. The next one, bees like it too. We're going to do ironweed, which is right in front of us. This grows wild out in the meadows where it's wet. This one's a little taller than normal because it's here by itself. There's nothing bothering it. And it's an old plant. So you'll see this one, in fact, it's getting ready to bloom in the meadows right now. I saw some yesterday. The flowers are getting ready to come out in the wild. Monarchs love this. Monarchs love ironweed. It's a native plant as well.
Where can we find these native plants if we want to start our own butterfly habitat? Are these available in your garden centers or?
There's a few garden centers that carry them. One's up on Route 10. It's up by up toward Reading on Route 10. There's a native nursery up there. 11 Goods Flowers over in Boyertown carries some of this stuff. There aren't many nurseries that carry it. I'm trying to think. There's one down in Delaware in Akesson, a native plant nursery. So there aren't that many native plant nurseries. Anybody that needs native plants, let me know though. I'll help you get them.
Fabulous.
We're going to start covering the host plants that we have in the backyard for each butterfly to lay eggs on. And the caterpillars eat the leaves of each one of these different plants. And this is why I like to call our place a habitat. It's more like a butterfly farm because we have the plants that they depend on for their life. They can be born here, and then they can lay their eggs again, and another generation can be born. So we're actually trying to farm the butterflies in a sense. This is pawpaw, and the zebra swallowtail butterfly lays eggs on it. The zebra swallowtail is a swallowtail with its green and black stripes, has 1-inch tails, but it doesn't live in the Pottstown area, unfortunately. We're trying to move it here. It lives along the Susquehanna River. A good place to see it would be Marietta, Pennsylvania. We've had one zebra swallowtail in the backyard in the past 21 years. So it's a rare sighting. Although I just received an email from Ole from Robert Knoll. He said he has eggs on his pawpaw tree. So Ole's not too far from here. With all this nectar in the backyard, we have a chance of seeing one this year. It's probably been about 10 years since we've seen one. This has a fruit like a banana on it. The fruit will be mature in about 2 weeks. The tree requires 24 inches of rain. You have to have 2 trees. You plant them 20 feet apart. And one tree has fruit and one doesn't. They pollinate. And you end up with this fruit that sells for about 10 bucks a pound up in New York City. The fruit only keeps for about 3 days, so that's why you don't see it at the market. It spoils in about 3 days. But it would be nice if we could move the zebra swallowtail over here. A guy tried it, Harold LeBeau, in Plowville, Pennsylvania, up on Route 10. And he built a cage with a pawpaw tree inside it. He had 17 zebra swallowtails born. They all took off. He never saw them again. The butterfly doesn't seem to want to move from the river over to here, but we haven't given up on it yet.
Is it endangered as well?
It's not an endangered species. It's very common in Virginia. It's more of a southern butterfly.
Okay.
Our second host plant is Dutchman's pipevine. It's for the pipevine swallowtail. There is a colony of pipevine swallowtails on the north end of Pottstown. And sometimes the pipevine swallowtail will come on down here and lay eggs here. 3 years ago, I had 300 eggs. The caterpillars grow 2 inches long. They're chocolate colored. The butterfly lays them in clusters right along the stem, maybe 30, 40 eggs in one cluster. And each caterpillar eats 20 leaves, so I counted the leaves on my plant. I only had 1,000 leaves, and I realized my plant was going to be dead in a few days. So I shipped the eggs to a science museum in Lancaster, and actually the caterpillars were born inside the box before they even got there. But I did save my plant, and we raised quite a few of them. They're a beautiful butterfly. The male's iridescent, orange dots, iridescent blue. I'm hoping, hey, maybe we'll get lucky and see one. Our next host plant is parsley and fennel. We have a pretty good stand of fennel here. It's already going to seed, unfortunately. The black swallowtail caterpillar lays eggs on there, and we do have a caterpillar to show you from the black swallowtail on the parsley. Also, Queen Anne's lace and dill. So this particular butterfly has at least 4 host plants. That's a little unusual. Most butterflies have 1 host plant. So anyway, that's parsley and fennel. We're going to put them back in the patch here. Our next host plant is hops. This is a plant that you use to make beer. It's for the comma butterfly, which we filmed earlier. The brown butterfly that had the comma on the side. So that's this one here.
Is that the host plant?
Ready to move on.
It lays its eggs on that one?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Our next host plant is hog peanut. This is for the silver spotted skipper, which we filmed earlier. It lays eggs on hog peanut and several other plants, which I don't have at the top of my head. Field thistle, which we covered earlier for nectar, is also a host plant for the caterpillars for the painted lady. This is the passion flower. The variegated fritillary lays eggs on this. And I'm really sorry we don't have any eggs to show you today, but the butterfly puts its abdomen down on the bottom of the leaf and lays an egg on the back of the leaf normally. Once in a while you'll see an egg on top of the leaf, but not too often. This has a real beautiful flower, the passion flower. And this flower doesn't smell too good to me. It actually stinks, I think, but it has a nice design though.
Seed pod?
Okay. Our next host plant is going to be right behind us here. It's going to be this red cedar tree. The red cedar tree is the host plant for the olive hair streak, which Butterfly Pua saw at her place today, across the street. This is our last host plant we're going to cover. It's senna. It's a host plant for the cloudless sulfur. The cloudless sulfur is a sulfur, it's about this big, and it lives mostly in New Jersey. We had 2 of them here last year, though. I even took a picture of one. So we're hoping someday maybe one of those cloudless sulfurs will just sit down here and give us some caterpillars. So that's all of our host plants. This is the hackberry butterfly nectaring on fruit. Red delicious apples and bananas provide a lot of sugar. Also, we have watermelon today. We normally don't use a watermelon, but for today's event I decided to get some. We normally just go with bananas and red delicious apples. I've studied all the apples and this is the best apple to use. There's 8 different butterflies that go on here. The red admiral, the red spotted purple, the tawny emperor, the hackberry, the comma, the question mark. That's 6. I can't think of the other ones. But on a normal season, we would have about 10 to 12 butterflies on here at the same time. The best time to see the fruit eaters is about 9 o'clock in the morning and 4 o'clock in the afternoon they come in. They don't like a lot of sun. The other butterflies love sun. These guys prefer a little bit of shade, and that's why I had the fruit station. We have 2 hackberry butterflies here now. It's getting better here. There's 2. One over in the left and then the one on the... See the proboscis going on the apple? There, he's curling it. Doggone it. Sorry, Butterfly Gus. Scared him, but he had his straw curled up there. Stuck it right down the apple. Butterfly Pua just captured us a monarch here. The first thing we're going to do is find out what sex it is, and then for a demonstration we're going to apply a tag to its back wing. Now these monarchs are not going to Mexico just yet, it's a little early. Although it is possible they could go this early, but again the prime time at our house is September 21st to September 26th. All right, we're going to open him up carefully here. He's a smaller one, and I want to be real careful because it's a female, we need some eggs. The male has black dots right in here. These yellow lines represent a skeleton. These butterflies are very strong. They do fly to Mexico and spend the winter there. The last batch doesn't mate. They fly straight to Mexico. This butterfly here will only live 3 to 4 weeks. It's the last generation that doesn't mate flies straight to Mexico. This one's very, very small. Okay, Butterfly Carly, I want to show you how strong this butterfly is.
Oh my gosh.
Did you ever pet a monarch? Don't try this on a swallowtail. Don't ever try this on a swallowtail, the wing will break right off.
Wow.
So you can see how they can fly 2,000 miles and make it down there. Okay, Butterfly Pua, could you hold this monarch?
Mm-hmm.
I got to find my knife here. We're going to apply a tag on the, it's called the discal cell.
How long have you been tagging?
We've been tagging butterflies, monarchs since 2002. They actually found one of mine in the year 2004.
Wow, you've had one recovered.
We had one recovered. It went
Mexico.
2,038 miles.
Awesome.
Of course, when they recover them, they're actually dead. We're going to put the tag right on this big cell here. This is called the discal cell. See this big cell right here? And I always say, not too tight, not too loose, but you don't want to get it too tight. Already I have a problem. Okay, so now we have the tag applied. And then we'd record it on a sheet and send these to Monarch Watch, University of Kansas, and they send people down in March down to Mexico. Most of the butterflies go to El Rosario Butterfly Preserve, and they pay the Mexicans $5 to recover each tag. They take $10,000 in cash down and $5 bills. So we're going to let this one loose, and hopefully it'll lay some eggs on our milkweed. We have 100 milkweeds on the property. Plant milkweed, save the monarchs. Here he goes. Way up high. Oh my goodness, is he going south? He's going south. He's going south. Well, who knows?
It might get
He
recovered.
actually did fly south, a little bit west. So southwest is here. He was going just a little bit to the southwest. This butterfly was tagged in our backyard. It was a monarch butterfly tagged for its trip to Mexico. Tag number was CIP 821. Tagged in Pottstown, Pennsylvania on September 20th, 2003. Was recovered in El Rosario, Mexico on March 1st, 2004. In fact, this butterfly was involved in a snowstorm. I saw it on the national news. They had butterfly monarchs. They were stacked up 3 feet high from a snowstorm. I believe this butterfly could have been in that. This monarch traveled 2,038 miles. The monarchs are dead when they find them. They actually roost up in the trees 10,000 feet up, and I've been telling you all day it's all about sunshine, it's all about heat. Believe it or not, that's why they couldn't find the site till 1976. These monarchs roost on these fir trees, one on top of another, out like this, all the way out here. The monarchs on the very edge die. Those are the tags they find. These monarchs out here freeze to death. So, Dr. Lincoln Brower discovered them. He was sitting at his desk in Canada, Professor Brower, across from one of his other fellow professors, and he said, I know where they're at, let's go. National Geographic was there. They found them 10,000 feet up in El Rosario. Anganguea is the city at the bottom of the mountain. If you ever go down there, and I never have, but I'd like to, only 5% of the visitors are from the United States, the rest are Mexicans. The last couple miles you have to walk or go by truck. Straight uphill, it's all stones. So it's pretty rough traveling, but they say it's incredible. You hear the butterflies when they're flying around a little bit, trying to find positions, and it's like a whirring noise.
Have you ever been?
Never been there. Nobody knows why the monarchs go there. The other butterflies overwinter in the chrysalis. They hatch in the spring, but no one knows. It's a great mystery. One of God's mysteries as to why the monarch goes to Mexico for the winter. Comes back to Texas in March, lays eggs on the milkweed. That generation hopefully makes it to Pennsylvania, but they usually fly straight up the Mississippi River. So we're at the outer edge of the monarchs. We are seeing some this year. I am expecting a good monarch migration. Last year we had 20 monarchs total, and we're used to seeing 20 monarchs per hour during the peak time of migration. So last year was a terrible, terrible year for the monarchs. And this year started out that way, but people are getting caterpillars now. In fact, we have some, and I want to show those to you now. This is the monarch caterpillar. This one is in the J form. It's getting ready to make a chrysalis. Sometimes they make the chrysalis in a few minutes, and sometimes it takes close to 24 hours. This one's already been in this form since this morning, so it's taken its time. And I don't know why it varies so much, but I've actually watched one do it one time, and it made a chrysalis right when I was watching it. So this one, this is the caterpillar that feeds on milkweed. This one here is getting ready, the size of it, it'll be doing a chrysalis soon. You can see the missing milkweed here where it ate the leaves. And here's a little one. When they're first born, it's just a dot. They're so small you can't hardly see them. You'd have to know what you're looking for. You'll see a hole straight through the leaf. In fact, he just made one there. That thing just bit a hole right straight through that leaf. Yeah, the small caterpillars, they don't have a very big mouth, so they prefer a smaller leaf. And I hope that one's going to be, I think he's going to be all right on that. Notice that they look similar to that black swallowtail caterpillar we saw earlier. So if you find a caterpillar on parsley, what's it going to be? It's going to be a black swallowtail. Milkweed, it's going to be a monarch. That's just the way it is, even though they look similar. So grow milkweed, save the monarchs. And you can keep them in a jar. You still going?
Yeah.
Keep them in a jar. And this is something I learned from Carl Gardner. Carl's been my mentor. He's a lepidopterist from Oley, Pennsylvania. They're hermetic. They don't need oxygen. You don't have to punch the holes in the top of the jar. Or you can put them in a cage. You have to watch for ants. That's an enemy, a wasp. These caterpillars can be destroyed quite easily. What most of the scientists think, in the wild, only 1 egg out of 400 makes it. When you bring them in and raise them, you're doing them a big favor. Big favor. So these 3 are going to make it. I'm going to make sure of that. They can get sick once in a while. You have to clean the cage out every day. They go to the bathroom, and you have to dump all the excrement out every morning. And here's that black swallowtail caterpillar, but it does look similar. This looks similar in color, but again, it's on parsley. This is the black swallowtail caterpillar. Yeah, we have 2 silver-spotted skippers on Verbena bonariensis out in the bed with the state fair mixed zinnia. Notice they're in the warmest spot. The sun is hitting directly down on them. That's where you're going to see them. They're going to pick the hottest spot in the garden. Wherever that sun's beaming down the most, that's where they're going to be. And you can see that sun's really bright right there right now.
Would those be a mating pair because they were hanging out together? Or?
Oh, they could be. When you're together like that, they usually are possibly male and female.
Because normally they're solitary animals.
So, yeah, normally they spend time by themselves except when they're looking for a mate. When they're first born, that's the first thing they do. They look for a mate. All right, we're going to close our documentary today, Pottstown Butterflies, saying goodbye. As we do that, we have just netted a tiger swallowtail. It's a male because down at the bottom it has light green here, and normally it would be a royal blue, a real big royal blue design. Notice it has both tails. And folks, if you'd like to help conserve butterflies, I do have a book out to tell you how to do that. Today we only had about 25 butterflies in the backyard, maybe 26 counting this one. Normally we'd have 50 butterflies this time of year, 50 a day. And if you tried this in the country, you should get about 300 butterflies a day. We have the highest attracting plants. I spent 10,000 hours in the backyard, 2,000 hours in the wild doing research. And that's why a lot of these plants are from the wild, because I was able to see what was really bringing them in out there. We invite you to come to the Pottstown Pet Fair on September 20th at Mountainminte Park. And we will be tagging monarchs. We're feeling good because we're getting caterpillars now, and we're seeing about 2 monarchs a day here in the backyard. And as we say goodbye, Butterfly Carly, Butterfly Gus, our cameraman, Butterfly Pua, my wife Carol, and our cat Sneakies. See you at the Pet Fair. So long from 344 West Beach.